The Saudi-led coalition has responded to accusations that its attacks on rebels in Yemen has led to civilian casualties. A committee of Gulf Arab nations investigated 8 incidents highlighted by human rights groups and the UN. It accepts responsibility for one incident, blames a second on a lack of coordination and refutes the rest. Now, one of the attacks was on a residential building in the southern district of Mocha in July last year. Human Rights Watch says 65 civilians died. The coalition says the bombing was based on inaccurate intelligence and recommends compensation be paid to the victims' families. In another incident, the World Food Programme says 4 of its trucks were hit by coalition bombs last November in Marib province. 2 drivers were wounded and 2 trucks destroyed. But the coalition says the WFP didn't tell it where the vehicles were. And in January, Doctors Without Borders alleged that an area near a hospital in Sada was struck by explosive fragments. In its response, the coalition says it targeted a warehouse used by Houthis to store weapons 1,300 metres away. Joining us now on the phone from Aden is Yemen's Minister for Information, Mohammed Kubati. Thanks very much for being with us. Now, we've just highlighted there the coalition's response to 3 of these 8 incidents that have been condemned by the UN. Do you broadly then reject the UN's findings?
Laura, thank you for having me with you this afternoon. It's obvious. I mean, if you read the report, the report refutes all of these incidents. We know the games being played. Unfortunately, most of these reports are coming from people who are siding with the Houthis. There's no any independent people on the ground who could report on such incidents. I mean, let's take for instance the issue about hitting the Republican hospital in Sada. It's obvious from aerial viewings that the hospital was not. The hospital is besides many, military targets, whereby there are camps and military camps, and the people are fighting from those camps. The Houthis and the rebels are always using such areas which are close to hospitals and close to civilians to hit back at the coalition forces. We know that this is a policy taken all the time by the former president, the ousted president policies. The largest hospital, for example, in Sana'a now, called 48 Hospital, is besides the biggest camp for the Republican army.
Okay.
So we know that these so a lot of these areas are close to military.
Okay, so that's one reason. That's one reason that the investigation has come up with. You do have precision-guided munitions available to you, so why can you not better target the legitimate targets?
No, all of these targets have. I mean, let's take the other incidents about these, trucks which were moving between the border between the south and north. I mean, the World Food Programme says that there were. What we know that this, I mean, there was no any coordination about such movement, and we know the way the Houthis can force people. There might have been food on the top of these cars or caravans carrying them, but underneath them there are munitions. All the time they have been using these tactics all across the place. The other incidents like them saying that there was, sort of a marriage ceremony in Damar on the 6th. There was no any targeting at all on the 6th. All, indications speak about a hit on the 7th of July, 7th of April, I think.
Okay, so you do refute a lot of the claims. I just want to put to you another incident that the UN has highlighted in its condemnation. The Saudi-led coalition deliberately, it says, targeted a residential home, killing 4 children. What's your response to that one?
I don't know specifically about this, but what we know, we know that sometimes some of these Houthis and some of the this happened even with the Americans. We know that people from Al-Qaeda go, unfortunately, and stay among civilians, and they have been, followed and targeted in those areas. We have all the time asked people to keep away from such, people who are criminals or somehow related to the Houthi military, practices and military activities. So So, I mean, it can happen. There are some damages. We don't deny that there's sometimes some damages. But in all and all overall, the coalition forces had been all the time targeting, specific military targets. Unfortunately, on the other side, we have not seen any report. In Aden, I'm now in Aden. The whole of Aden has been destroyed by the Houthis and the rebels, and they were targeting directly. What's happening now in Taiz?
Okay, let me just jump in a second, because you made it very clear that you do reject the UN group of experts. You say that it's sided with the Houthis. Many would reject your own investigation because it is made up of the very coalition that is involved in the war. So do you have a suggestion for a third party who can investigate what is happening in Yemen?
Why not? We have allowed, unfortunately, we have allowed all the time, independent people to come and see. We have asked the UN to come and see in Aden and to attend in Aden and see the amount of destruction and crimes which had been committed against humanity, against humanitarian law, war crimes, genocides and so on. Why not? We accept any independent group to come and assess on the ground what's happening actually on the ground, not to take by hearsay what is being said by the Houthis or some people who are far away from these areas.
Mohammed Kubati, Information Minister for Yemen, thank you very much for taking the time to join us there from Aden.